and verified with the secretary, would be on the agenda today to be permitted to be on the field during the 7th and 8th grade football games. He is volunteering his time. He has coached these boys for years. He has a great relationship with them, and they are struggling to make this transition, we'll call it. And they're falling apart, and they're going to him. His presence there will make a difference for them. We are struggling with the lack of communication that we have currently in the football program. We're struggling with our children's lack of direction, lack of respect, learning respect. We're struggling that our kids aren't continuing to learn what it means to be a team. And those things that you learn on a football field that we as parents, or even especially moms, can't teach our kids outside of that, or not to that ability. I know that there are a lot of issues maybe with the Duvals, or even Joe Duvall, but as our kid's football coach, he is outstanding. He is a student of the game. He is a student of our children because he knows them. He looks at their strengths and their weaknesses and only wants to grow them. We're having a hard time with this transition as our kids are. Last night we lost a game 14-12 to a team that in the youth program we repeatedly beat by 35 points. That was a hard loss for our kids. Some of the things said to our kids, we didn't necessarily agree with in that huddle. Not that we were in it. It is 12-year-old boys telling us. We rarely know what's going on. There's no communication. I've never been invited to a parent meeting. I've only spoke a few words to that coach, which was, Joe will not be at practice on Friday because we will be out of town. That's been my communication with him. I don't know about the communication with other people. I don't know him personally. I don't think he's a bad person or a bad guy. I don't know him. I'm only looking at the coaching and what my kid and a lot of our kids are learning on that field. And we want it to stay the positive effect it has been up till now. And I think that's all I have to say. Unless someone wants to.
Thank you. You've made some very valid points. Those are all things that we'll take into consideration and discuss among the administrators. One thing that we do want to make clear is that, I think this is obviously about Joe, and he's gotten his paperwork in, but there is a chain of command, so to speak, that he needs to work through. So if he hasn't done that as yet, I'm not for sure, what level this would be at, but he needs to go to the coach.
That chain of command is because it's our understanding that he went through the proper chain of command.
Well, it goes to the coach, and then it goes to the AD, and then it would go to administration.
And that was all done, and I verified that today.
Okay. Well, we'll take a look at it and we'll discuss it and see where we end up, because I really wasn't aware of the situation anyways, so.
Can I say something real quick?
Sure.
Have you gone to the athletic director, the middle school principal, the superintendent?
We are going to, he spoke to the AD and middle school.
No, you guys as a complaint, yeah.
I would say that no, I have not.
Okay.
And so maybe I broke chain today, but I think I did that today, and a lot of us did today because it was under our impression that that would be on the agenda today. And when it wasn't, that set the chain, we had to jump through it because.
Can I say something?
I was just going to say, it's never been on the agenda. The agenda was not changed, it's never been on this
We
agenda.
thought it would be on the agenda today.
Because-
That's what our understanding was.
From,
Because my husband has coached with these boys for a month, He's been out there for a month, and then he was told he was not allowed to do that until he filled out his proper paperwork. He did that. He did some online classes that he was told by Coach Weldon that he needed to do. He did that. He filled out his paperwork, and Seth Bowman told him yesterday his paperwork would be submitted to you guys, and it would be on the agenda today, and it is not.
So we need to make sure he knows that's not how it works.
I guess I have part of it. I have I think one document that we had, it wasn't complete. And, you know, our agenda, just because we have to get our agenda out to the board, we do that, you know, we wrapped that up a few days ago, 4 days ago. So anything after that would have to go on to the next board meeting. But, you know, what I can do, I haven't spoken with Mr. Bowman about it. I can get with him and we can sit down and talk about maybe getting cut. And your husband is the coach? Okay. And I'll get with Mr. Bowman and we'll talk about it and see if we can figure it out.
Because if it goes on to next board meeting, then our season's over. That's why we were expecting it to be on this one, and we're told, because by October, I mean,
You're gonna have kids that are.
as it panned out, we only have,
16.
very few games on our schedule.
Right. All I saw was one document, and that was today, there at the very end of the day.
And with the lack of communication and stuff from the coach, 7th grade, there's some of the games that they're not going to play, and that has not been told to some of the 7th grade parents at all.
Wait, say that one more time.
We have the 2 teams. We have 7th grade and we have 8th grade.
Team, right?
Well, then there's some schools that won't have both, so then it'll have to be mixed.
Okay.
But with us 7th grade parents, we're not going to know if our children are going to be in the games or not for us to be able to attend and watch them.
Okay.
It's always been that way.
So it.
I'm just gonna say, it was like that when my kid, was it like when John was in some, that's just how it is until you know if they have a team or not. That's always been that way.
Really short notice. Like, he's not been telling us at all. Like, if it's going to be a 7th grade and 8th grade, or if it's going to be a mixed. He's not letting us know. It's pretty much a guessing game.
But what I'm saying is, I had the same thing when my son was in 7th grade. They didn't know until like the day before. I don't know why it's that way, but that's the way, I mean, Brian, your son played football too. It's just, I don't know why it's that way, it's the way it's been. That's nothing new. So.
Should we take it upon ourselves to call those schools then and ask them if they have a 7th grade team?
No, I think you should go to the coach and then to the athletic director. Talk to Mr.
Besides the Joe
Bowman.
Duvall issue, if it has stuff to do with games, if you're not getting an answer through your coaches, you have to go to Seth Bowman
Or to the middle school principal.
or to Mr. Walker.
That's the best
My
way.
big concern is that if we wait till October, it will be too late. And I'm afraid that the football program is going to fall apart. And these boys worked really hard so that by the time they do hit high school, there's going to be a team to work with. That's why the youth program was started. That's why everybody works so hard. That's why I have a 3rd grader out there right now, is because we'd like to grow this program. We'd like to have.
And for any successful program, that's exactly how you have to do it. You have to grow your program, you have to have good coordination, and it's obvious that we could probably do better on the communication or expectations of communications, and we'll address that with the ADs and make sure that the coaches are aware that they need to be as forthright as possible with communications, and make sure that if there's emails, that they have access to those for the parents so that they can get that information out to them. So.
Well, I think also it's there's a big jump. Back when my son played football, there was no youth program. But there was a soccer program, youth soccer, and it was a big adjustment getting used to the communication you get from the parents running. It is, but it's a growing experience too.
With
Yeah.
that one, and I don't with Joe.
Which is the way it's really supposed to be. Yeah.
Joe's going to go to all the games. I just need that comment. Hey, do you have practice tomorrow? Because last Wednesday you didn't. Well, now you do.
Well,
And
yeah.
I kind of need to know that. He's dependent on me.
I think you need to talk to the athletic
Every coach
director.
is different, but, I've been fortunate that we've had, good coaches that realize that communication is so necessary, because they can't really rely on the kids, although you hope to bring that information home. Lots of times, just having that ability for the coach to hit mass email out to the parents, this is our schedule, this is what I'm thinking, this is who we're playing. I think that's a huge benefit for the parents and ultimately for the coach and the kids. So,
I just don't want to be lost, because I'm not here to badmouth Chad. Like I said, I
Yeah.
don't know him. I think we're just here to stick up for our boys.
well, that's
And-
good, and we appreciate
I
that.
appreciate that. And I think just to be fair to the coach, I mean, if you are feeling like things are not getting better or if it is falling apart, I mean, talk to them right that moment. There's, I was a coach and I always appreciate it when parents take time to say, hey, can you let us know? We don't know if we're going to be playing with mixed teams or if it's going to be separated. Communicate that you're not getting enough information, the expectation. You have done that?
The hallways and stuff and told him,
Okay.
he's like, well, I can only give you what I'm given. And
He
it's like,
tells
well,
us it's
then you
the
need-
school's job.
right, you guys are the one that's supposed to give it to him and then he'll get it to us whenever, or if he
Okay.
gets it or if he doesn't get it.
Okay. And that's a conversation that we have to
I
have
think-
at this moment.
I think we really have a serious lack of communication, or maybe even a lack of understanding with the way the information is supposed to flow and who it's supposed to come to.
Yeah.
But Mr. Walker, who, if you haven't met, is our new middle school principal. Welcome. I guess this is
Yeah.
and Sean, you guys have heard what's been going on. I think tomorrow it'll be incumbent upon you guys to get with Sean, with Seth, and hey, we need to square this up. I mean, this isn't the first year this guy's coached before. I mean, it's not new to him. He should know what's going on, so we need to get it on
The way
track.
the way we take it is, it's like he doesn't know anything.
Well, and maybe that's just, I'm sure that he can, we need to impress upon him what he needs to do as far as communication. As far as,
Communicate the thing with Joe tomorrow, then, so we don't have to wait until October?
well, the thing with Joe, I think we're up against an issue with timing, because we still don't have the paperwork all the paperwork we need currently.
Right.
And I think that now, Joe has coached, boy, and I really hate using somebody's name in a public meeting, but he's coached previously. And he's been a volunteer assistant previously, I believe, right?
He's coached you.
Okay, but
Just
he's
you.
never okay.
Never a
He
Waterloo
applied
coach.
for the job that Chad has right now.
Okay,
But he was
okay.
told that
So-
parents could not be coaches, but according to your agenda, that's not
So
necessarily true.
what we need, so somewhere in there, we need to work out that we have to follow the process of who picks the coaches and who the coaches are going to be. And it might, if you would like to explain that to everybody. So
That's
they
what I was
understand
gonna
that
say.
Process,
Of
How we hire a coach.
how assistant coaches are picked.
Yeah, that's typically up, for assistants, it's typically up to the head coach to do that. Head coach would have his assistants, he would submit those names, a name to the AD would then submit it, go through the principals, the principal then would submit it to me, and I'd put it on for board approval. And it doesn't sound like it's much, but it's very time consuming, and it takes time to get everybody on the same page and make sure that we're all on board, and we make sure along the way, before that coach would submit it to the AD, the idea would be that all the paperwork's been, background check's been done, and some coaches require an application of some kind or a resume of some kind, and then you go from there. That does take some time to get that process moving from beginning to end.
Okay, but with Joe actually applying for the job for the coaching position and stuff like that, like what is the criteria for you guys to be like pick an actual head coach?
To go, well, boy, that's an interesting question. I mean, depending on the sport, depending on, if we'll say it's a football coach, I mean, you go through a whole process. Sometimes schools they all have, there's not one catch-all method. Some schools will have a community, a group of people deciding who would be the head football coach, where some people might just have the high school principal and athletic director and maybe, one youth person or what have you. I mean, there's not really one special way that works all the time. People use different methods.
Okay. Very good. Well, thank you. We appreciate your thoughts, and we will follow up and see what we can do.
I just have a quick question, twofold question, and listening to the boys. I know you want to go by a monthly agenda, but the bottom line is, these kids standing right here behind us want to know if he's going to be approved. It can get approved. He's had a background. I was a coach of wrestling at the former school I was at. We all go through background checks. So he's already got his background check. Paperwork, yeah, it's a formality, but we're in the middle of the season. I know he started this paperwork when summer was in, trying to get this approved and get it to go. You got some boys that Joe has had for 7 years or whatever, and not that they shouldn't work with the new coach, but when they were told, and Joe was told back in the summer when they started practice in July, that he was going to be allowed to come out and help assist, on the field with the boys. The boys were happy because they're used to his coaching style. You got a group of boys right now. The last few years, you're looking at your next championship in this school with this group. These boys right now, most of the 7th graders are ready to walk off the field. They're unhappy. They're not getting treated what they feel is fairly. Now, granted, I mean, that's a 12-year-old's perspective. But you don't want to throw away. I graduated from this school. I know a few other people sitting here graduated from this school. It's been a long time since this school's had a championship in football. You guys want this stadium. You're not going to get that stadium unless you put a championship football team back in this school. Bottom line, the public is not going to give it to you. The attendance is down on Friday nights from when I went to school here. We used to pack that stadium. From what I hear, it ain't there. And I don't want to see these kids right here walk away from something they love. My son's been playing since he was in kindergarten. Tackle football since he was in 1st grade. He's one of the hardest hitting kids on that field. He's ready to walk away. I mean, I know you have procedures and whatever, but these kids and us as a parents would like to see something sped up so Joe can help these kids and we can make a better football team. We can have a winning season this year. Not saying Chad can't do it, but there's 2 of them for, what is there, 45, how many kids are on the team? 40 kids. You got 2 guys trying to run that football. And high school's got, what, 6 coaches? And Joe's doing it for free. He's not even getting paid. He's taking time off work to come up here at 3 o'clock and work, not getting paid. I mean, I'd like to see something get pushed a little faster to at least let him on the field and let him help these boys and continue this program. Now, what happens next year if he goes for head coach or tries to go for head coach? Who knows? But you got to keep a camaraderie of this group right here. Because without the 7th graders, to be honest with you, 7th graders walk off the field, you ain't got a football team because there's not enough 8th graders. So then you'll fold the middle school program. I mean, you can ask them, half of them are standing right here. They wanted to talk, and I said, you just chill. But I think that's what we'd like to see, something pushed a little faster to get Joe out there to help him. I don't know what paperwork, you're saying he's missing a paper. His wife's sitting right here. We can call Joe in here right now and get that paper signed or whatever needs done. And I'm sure he'd walk off that field back there and come up here and fill that paper out.
Well, we appreciate the topic. We appreciate the concern. I think we've already said that it'll be addressed through the channels tomorrow, right? Mm-hmm. And so we'll see where that goes from there. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Meeting's not over. Apparently nothing else matters. Who the heck's telling them that he can coach?
That's bad if
What
that's
the hell?
happening, and that's what we need to find out. And I'm sure it won't be hard to figure out. So, It doesn't matter.
Oh my gosh, we need a
Somebody's
middle school
having
principal
something.
until August, too. They have to start on the come.
Okay, let's go ahead and have a roll call.
Okay, Pusateri? Here. Whittlesey?
Here.
Fletcher?
Here.
Dunn?
Here.
Rock?
Here.
Okay, President's report is slim to none, so we'll just move on from there. Anxious for a good start of the year, and it sounds like everything's been very good. And so we've got a great group of people here, and they...
Siri not available.
Siri says that they're great too. And we appreciate all the efforts that they've put into making this school year jump into full activity, and want to welcome our new administrators, our new teachers, and we're just really excited to get going, and we'll probably have more to come in the next board meetings. Okay, superintendent's report.
Okay, I have two things. First thing, we wanted to thank the donation of golf clubs by Mr. Richard Belvin to the Waterloo golf team. Do we have a picture of these golf clubs?
No, I.
They're nice. It's a nice set of clubs.
They actually got to the team?
Yeah. I talked to Mr. Belvin, and he.
And I wrote him thank you.
Yes, and he was very excited about donating these to make sure they got to good use, and I told him that.
There's actually an up-and-coming golf
Match.
student, a student who's apparently very good and does not have his own club. So Coach Flanagan already kind of designated them to a student, and Mr. Belvin offered to have them custom fit for him. So that would be really cool.
Mrs. Sandell was going to take a picture of him and his clubs, and he came in, dropped them off, and ran out the door. So we
How many kids do we have on the golf team this year?
I think there's a half dozen,
6 or 7, which is good. I mean, I know in the past we've sometimes been challenged, but you know, it's a great sport, and I'm glad that we have benefactors that support the school and the students to make that possible. So, thank you.
Yes,
Rich was a graduate, Waterloo graduate in, I think, 77.
Okay. Yeah, he told me that. I couldn't remember the year.
And he lives in Crestwood. His kids went to Crestwood now. But he called and he said, well, once a Viking, always a Viking. He had 7 clubs that he was willing to even get re-gripped and that. And he's just if you ever, he was in football, oddly enough, when I was young and I was little, and I was like the water boy guy or whatever, because my older brother played. And nobody in the world had a bigger heart than Richie Belvin. To this day, he's still Richie Belvin. I mean, he just was one of those 100% guys all the time, just a great person. So it's nice to see he remembered. So it was very nice.
So thanks to him. The next we have Barb Rock presenting on the food and beverage policy of our school system. Are you ready?
We don't have that much time. Is it going to change?
It's a half a page.
No.
I didn't make you copies because nothing changed from last year. So.
That's
it's
okay.
just- It's stated Ohio Revised Code, I have to annually present to you what we provide, so you still have your packet from last year, that you can do that.
We're paperless. We don't have any of that stuff, so we're
I
good.
can send it to you.
You can send it to Beth and she can upload it for us.
Okay, so we met all our standards, we meet all our standards. Mr. Raymond already submitted a survey to ODE to say we can present tonight for this, so we are good to go. We follow the National School Lunch Program and Breakfast Program meal patterns that are set forth by ODE to meet the federal guidelines. And we implement offer versus serve for breakfast and lunch. We meet all the requirements for the menus, and we are in compliance with all a la carte items for the standards that went into effect last July, which is also known as Smart Snacks. So we are good to go with that.
Well, that was a great presentation. We might have to do this monthly.
Once a year.
I do want to say thank you, because as a support services guy, I know what challenges that you go through, and it is such a huge commitment that, you know, one, goes unrecognized, and two, the amount of hours and dedication that goes into a program of services is huge. And so we thank you for your service, and we appreciate all that you do to make sure the kids eat healthy as best we can.
Yeah, well, and I do want to mention, I just met with Dave Stotler from Scotland Orchard on the
Mhm.
line, so we're going to have them in inviting our apples in December, because that's all we can buy. So he's going to make us some signs or something, just so we can put it on for local business.
Great. Keep it local, yeah.
So that's good.
Good.
I'm afraid to ask this, but I think I know the answer. I have a friend that has his kids in another school district, not Waterloo, I just want to say this is not Waterloo. And he was telling me that they run out of lunches every day almost. We don't do that, do we? We always have, I was going to say, I told him, I said, wow, we don't, okay, but I just wanted to ask. We don't ever have that. So, okay.
I can't even imagine that.
That's what it was so hard for me to fathom.
Especially, I mean, you don't serve everybody all at one time, you have time to make more food.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, there should be.
That's how you run out.
Yeah, they're.
See, once it-
Oh, maybe that's what they're doing. I didn't know that much about it. He was just, you know, he knows I'm on the school board, and he said, you know, we ran out of, my kids, for one, got a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or something because they ran out of lunches. This other school, not Waterloo, I just want to say that again.
Not Waterloo.
And I just was like, and I thought, we never
We
did
still have
that.
pizza every Wednesday.
It's like my kids, they tell us parents that because they were caught that they didn't buy lunch, so that's what they say.
Maybe that's what's going on.
Yeah, they ran
All
out.
the time.
Yeah, I'm already in debt with our cafeteria.
I'm a collector on that.
Yeah, I'm done.
So the only other thing for food service I just wanted to mention was that government did implement professional standard ruling this year for all food service employees. It's now mandated that they have training hours. So that's coming about. We did training hours.
The
That's
funding
very
came
much-
along with that? No funding?
Oh, no, we just absorb that cost.
Oh, yeah.
We love the state
That's
of
for everybody,
Ohio.
right?
Yes.
And the federal
Including
government.
any subsidies they are to have 4 hours of
Mhm.
annual training, so.
Yep.
There's been regular subs that are have to do a lot of training.
Thank you. All right. Okay. Treasurer's report?
Later on the agenda, the only thing that's really of relevance tonight is passing fiscal year 16 permanent appropriations. So they fall in line with the 5-year forecast that will be brought forward next month for your approval. That's it.
All right. Principals updates. We can start with Mrs. Andel.
Right.
Come on up.
I know.
Stretch your legs a little bit. We don't want you to.
Hi, good evening. Just a few things for the high school. This year, we switched our picture day because now we're all under the same company with the same contract, which is kind of nice. So we have decided to have a district-wide picture day. So everyone's day will be exactly the same. It's coming up on the 28th. So from elementary to high school, everyone will have the same date. So it's nice for the parents, just so that they don't have to figure out if they've got kids in all 3 buildings. So that's coming up. Just some updates from over the summer. The elevator has been locked, so that lock is there. There are keys. We are giving keys only to students with crutches. And to date, we only have 2 on crutches right now. We have 2 keys. So we're good. If we end up with a 3rd on crutches, then we'll have to figure out what we're going to do, but we'll worry about that if it happens. All of the exterior doors have alarms on them now with keypads. Myself and Mr. Munger are the only 2 with the alarm codes. Those codes are not being given out because the minute we give it out to one, then there's no reason to have the alarm code on there. So we had some issues at the very beginning of the school year, people leaving actually, it was a couple of teachers just going out to the parking lot and not realizing that the alarms were there, setting it off. But we've put some signs on the doors, and now that everybody knows that those doors are all alarmed, so during the school day from 8 to 3, those alarms are set. If anyone wants to enter or exit the building, they have to go through the front doors. An update on ACT boot camp. Our ACTs are coming up in October. I did have a salesman come and share with me over the summer the boot camp that was being held at Rootstown. I discussed it with Mr. Brayman. We have teachers here that are interested in actually holding our own ACT boot camp. We're working on what the logistics of that will be. Most likely it'll be 2 weeks working right up to the Saturday ACT. The boot camp that they offered, the only day that they could offer it to us was like the first Monday in October, which was 2.5 weeks prior to the actual ACT. There's a lot of research out there that says you can cram it all that day, and by 2.5 weeks later, it's not going to really have any effect. So we're going to do probably a week of language arts, a week of math with some test-taking strategies leading right up to that Saturday ACT. So we're working all that out. I have, like I said, I have teachers interested in doing that. As soon as I have a more concrete schedule, I'll let you know. Our announcements, just to give you an update as well, we are our daily announcements now are being posted to our website. So if you go to the high school page, right under my name in the center of the page says Principal's Daily Announcements. So anything that the kids are hearing in the morning is posted to that website. They are also then, I copy and paste them into an email to the secretary at Maplewood. So she gets our daily announcements every single day. Now she sorts through them. There are certain ones that just aren't applicable, like, you know, we had something during AO today. Well, that doesn't apply to Maplewood kids. So she sorts through, picks out the ones that apply to them, but then she also prints them out and posts them on a bulletin board. So all the announcements are printed every day that the Maplewood kids can walk by and see all of the daily announcements from Waterloo.
Do we know if Biomed has access to that or knows about that?
Biomed has access to the website. I do not have someone that I could email it. If I get a contact there, I could easily email it to them as well. We're working on some professional development pieces. I've been providing Mr. Walker and Mr. Streeter with some readings, some videos, some different things so that we can start moving those through our TBTs and our staff meetings, so that's in the works. We met with the SLO committee yesterday. We're looking at the student growth measure piece of teacher evaluation that has changed again this year because of the safe harbor due to the park and all of those things. We just met last night. That's being presented to the union membership within the next day or two. We'll get their vote back and hopefully get that in moving and to you folks to approve. Our Jason STEM learning program is continuing, so we have sent 2 teachers. I know Mr. Riley was here. They are working through that process and continuing that. All the new curriculum that we ordered over the summer has arrived, but for one piece. It should be here next week. It's our Algebra 1, but the books that we are using currently are fine. It's just an updated version, so Mr. Phillips is breathing easy. He's not worried about it. As soon as it gets here, he'll be very happy. Pride cards are continuing again this year. We don't have one this evening, but we'll do our September cards in October, so we'll get that rolling. And for the testing, again, you know, the park is gone, it's been eliminated. We'll still get those test scores from last year, so we can still use them, take a look at them, but they're not doing the park again. AIR, which is ODE's version, is replacing the park tests from last year. There's only one testing window this year versus last year where there was February and April. Now there's only one testing window in April. There will only be that one, and that'll help. I think everyone has taken a little sigh of relief this year, so that some of that anxiety is reduced. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Can we ask questions? Okay. Are we going to get the park results?
Yes,
from last year?
they're predicting November right now, so that's the latest I've heard, that they should show up in November.
Okay.
No idea what they're going to be or what they're going to look like.
Great. And I think the ACT thing is great.
Absolutely.
We had just gotten that going, back before we had to make cuts. And actually, we had an ACT class, and Debbie Morgan used to do the class. And she retired. I don't know if she was, did you guys overlap?
No, but I've heard.
And then when she retired, we just weren't able to get it. We kind of did some things, but we weren't able to get it going, keep it going. But that's one of the things that we can do I mean, if you score 28 or more on the ACT, you're getting some serious scholarship numbers. I mean,
Well, and we just, again, I met with that salesman, he couldn't tell me how many Waterloo kids went last year, he couldn't tell me what their scores were, had they increased from their, it just didn't jive with me, so I said, I talked to Sean immediately, and I said, we've got to find a better way to do this.
that's great.
And as a parent, I mean, I sent my daughter to the, the boot camp, the prep stuff. I ordered the stuff off online so that she could use it, and she thankfully did well. I think she could have done better if she'd have put a little bit more emphasis on it. But, she was very fortunate that she did well. But I think that's such a critical part of getting those kids prepared for that next step. And if we can dedicate and focus on that kind of an accomplishment for that program so that it gives them opportunities and it gives them choices.
And I think using our own staff, the kids that come to the boot camp, our staff members are going to already know where they are. It's not like it's, they're
Yes.
strangers to them.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll be able to really focus in on, okay, I know where this kid is in math class already. I'm going to be able to kind of individualize that.
Because if you take the computer or the stuff on the computer that you purchase, you really don't have that much support.
Right.
And so having that support is such a critical element to answering questions, giving, strategizing on test taking and things of that nature. And it takes a lot of the apprehension out of those tests. And I see those kids going in there when I dropped her off, and they look like they were beat to death and dreading every minute of this. And so I think making it homegrown is an excellent idea.
Yeah, we'll have to purchase some of those same books, because I want the staff to have those. It's not a secret. The ACT, there are test-taking strategies that go along with passing that, or getting a high score on that test. So we'll get some materials for the staff. If we can purchase them for the, in fact, can get a better idea how many students would be there, we can do that as well. But it'll be cost saving. The cost to ship them it's going to be at Kent Roosevelt this year. Again, the salesman couldn't really explain that too well to me, so I think it's just much better that we keep it right.
Well, anything that we can do to enrich the students' confidence is such a huge part. When they go in, with such apprehension, they're already behind the 8 ball. So if they have a good expectation of what they're getting into, I think they can do much better than what they believe that they could. So.
Do we know if Mr. Schmidt, since we're kind of on that subject, has anything set for getting kids and their families ready on doing scholarships and stuff? I've had several, and I guess I should be worried since Jesse's graduating this year too.
I don't know the answer to that. I can check with him
because we
tomorrow.
do have parents that has called and asked.
For scholarship information.
Yeah, I guess before they used to he used to bring them in maybe, or do a, huh?
We used to do a career night.
Yeah, like
He doesn't do that till February.
and I think the end of the year and even middle of the year is too far gone for it. I mean,
We've
I know
discussed
I'm
this
already
before.
looking for Jesse on what we can do to get them.
We've discussed this before. There's ways to, as those scholarships come, to put them online, and Cliff has done that in the past.
Okay.
But we felt as a board when we've discussed this that that kind of stuff needs to not happen when your FAFSA is due in January. The kids need to know in October, November. They need to start picking at college because those scholarships go away come December. Some of them stay till March, but for the most part, if they can pick and they can
And did we
do
update
that.
the guidance website last year too with those links? and things
We
like
did,
that?
but it still is, it needs to go a little bit, it just needs to go a little bit further. So, and I think the other thing we talked about, and we probably haven't had a chance to talk to you about it, was each class when they come at the beginning of the year, like the sophomores need to be ready to take that ACT test. They need to be doing what you're doing. There used to be, when they were a junior, they still weren't taking the ACTs. So the freshmen need to know, they need to be thinking about their path the whole way. I mean, yeah, you sit through that meeting, but do they really know, okay, we need to, in 8th grade, I need to know if I take this, I can be ahead in biology, I can be ahead in math, I can be to this point. So the freshmen need to know that, the sophomores need to know they need to start thinking about that. Of course, they're doing the OGTs at the same time. And then the juniors should have, they need to be pretty close to knowing at least what they want to do, and then seniors need to be applying for colleges before they come to be a senior, so just those kind of things. It's basic, but like you said, they until someone else tells them to do it, because to parents tell them to do it, it doesn't compute. So, yeah.
I can set up some, just thinking about what you're saying, I'm thinking of, seniors are all in AO together, juniors are all in AO together.
We have that AO now we could really
I
use.
make some time set aside to have those conversations just with those classes. So just thinking off the top of my head, that would be my first reaction.
Yeah, we do have that now, and that's when we did the ACT prep before, was when we had AO
Period like that.
years ago. Well, I don't know how many years ago it was. It was
5.
Yeah, about that.
4.
So that's what they did then, was some of the ACT prep. So, yeah, all that little stuff, simple stuff.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, Mr. Walker, we hired you with all the answers.
I don't know how many answers I have. In regards to Mrs. Sandel's report about the door with the alarm, I just wanted to add that there may or may not have been a middle school principal also.
Tester. He's a tester.
Walked right through and didn't even look at the That's what signs tell you something. Well, good evening. It's good to be here with you guys. The opening, my report is simple. The opening of school was fantastic in my opinion. It's a very positive building. The middle school staff have been very helpful, as well as Mr. Brayman and my peers, my administrative peers. I've learned all the teachers' names at least, and all of the aides and all of those kind of people. And I'm working on students. That's one of my goals, is just to know their names, because as soon as you call a kid by their name, it really just sets the relationship and sets the tone that they know that we care about them. Also, I try to get into the classrooms as much as I can. And again, that's just to show that the academic things that we're doing are important to us as administrators, as a board, as a district. That's what we want to focus on. So the opening of the school has been fantastic, like I said, and things have been very positive. I even heard one of our student teachers who said she was so impressed with our students because a couple of times she said a kid dropped books and several other kids swarmed around them to help them pick up their books. They weren't doing that to get recognition or anything. They were just doing that because they're doing the right thing. So that's good. Our middle school fundraiser, we kicked that off this afternoon at 2 o'clock. So if you have magazine subscriptions that need renewed, make sure to talk to a middle school kid, and also eat a lot of cookies. Start thinking about cookie dough and your cookie needs for the next several weeks. Our sale ends on September 23rd, and the kids were really excited about the presentation of the prizes and awards and all that kind of thing. We are not going to be taking the kids on a long field trip like we've tried in the past, like Kalahari, I think, and some other places. I talked to the representative from the company, and he felt that throwing in some extra prize levels seems to do the trick at other school districts. We do have a prize trip to go to Chipotle for students that sell at least 9 items. So we're hoping to get a lot of kids packed into the limo and get them to Chipotle, which happens to be my favorite restaurant. Finally, just from a curriculum and instruction perspective, I've been working with our teachers and already starting to talk about, I don't know how things are done at Waterloo. I know how we did things at West Branch, where I'm from, before here, but just really focusing on learning targets, focusing on authentic assessments, formative assessments, practices, those kind of things, where we don't let kids fail. We don't let them fall through the cracks, but we pursue them. And already in my teacher meetings yesterday, I heard that same message, that same philosophy from all the teachers, that they're pursuing kids to go after them when they need academic help, and that's a good thing. And we will continue to work as a team, we as the newest member, to make that work. So that's what I have for you.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and Mr. Streeter?
Good evening.
You don't have to.
Hold on to your water. Well,
at least somebody does.
I'd like to first start off by thanking all our new staff. I'm going to count Mrs. Sandell as new because she's new to the high school, but she continues to help our admin team, not only in curriculum, but all aspects of the day. Mr. Walker, for being brand new, he's doing an awesome job. He's, as you heard in his report, he's fitting in, working well with kids. Mrs. Ryan, our new special ed director, is doing a fantastic job. We have a sensory room in the middle school for students with special needs who have sensory diets or needs, and they can go to this room. She updated it, stayed here till 7 one night, did a fantastic job. I've seen both our MD units and K through probably 3 where we have some needs using that room regularly, so it's been great. And Mr. Brayman, the head and chief, he's already been in, I think, 3 special ed meetings and probably a half dozen parent meetings. So he is extremely supportive, and I know principals really appreciate that. Right from the get, he's been diving in and working with families and parents alongside us. So that's been great to have. I want to start by updating you guys on the testing in the elementary. We have KRA testing going on in kindergarten, and that is like one-on-one assessments for all our kindergarten students. That helps the teachers see where each individual student is. We had subs in on Tuesday, and the subs covered the teachers' classes. The teachers take individual students out and put them through a variety of tests, and then we report that data back to the board office. Peggy Shaver also works to input all that data, and that gives us an idea of where they're starting their career with us here. Also, it's a necessary step for EAMS report. So that's wrapping up this week, which our kindergarten staff does a great job of getting that out of the way really quick. Because I think the deadline is until mid-October for that.
I think it just got extended in November 1.
Yeah, so they're ahead of the game big time.
Right.
Also, we've third grade reading guarantee, we're gearing up for that. That's going to be later than years past. It's going to be actually in November, the first test, the fall test. And it's going to be a different test. The OAA is gone. It's going to be a new state test, 3rd through 8th grade, as Mrs. Sandell updated. So that's going to be our test to determine whether we have to take more tests throughout the year. This year, we only had 1 student technically retained. As opposed to the year prior, we had 4 students retained. However, the state changed a lot of things, and there's new legislation that allows for districts to be a little more creative. And one thing our special ed director and I found out is that we can offer a 3-4 split class. So that student can get, any student retained can jump into a 3-4 split. And we still offer intense tutoring and help, but they are at least with their peers, so they're moving on. So it's really nice for the social, emotional aspect of it all. So that's something new from the state this year. New staff and smaller class sizes, it's been wonderful so far. I think the teachers have all responded very positively to the smaller class size. I'm sure Mrs. Green can attest to that. And the year has really started off well. I'd like to thank the teachers too. I think I walked in on a 5th grade teacher meeting in the first week of August. So, you know, we always think of teachers as having the entire summer off, but it looked like a regular school day in the end of July, early August here. So, you know, we have great kids, we have a great community, but the work the teachers put in at the end of summer and sometimes in the middle of the summer is really what gets us this great start. It's that the work behind the scenes. So we've added, the class sizes obviously are smaller because we've added, Mrs. Pusateri went from the computer lab to 4th grade. Mrs. Gage came down from the middle school to be the 4th, 5th grade teacher. We have a new 2nd grade teacher, Ms. Woodard. We have a new phys ed teacher, Mr. DeVise. And we have a new intervention specialist, Ms. Bicep, and they're all doing great work. We just had our first fire drill of the year today. It went very well. Atwater is going to be coming back later in the month to do fire safety, K3. That's something they did last year that was really nice. And then the last thing on my list is we're still working on that positive culture environment. We went to PBIS sessions last year. We brought the team and we're trying to implement parts of that. Mrs. Green and the 5th grade team had something that they've done for a while, biking clubs. I know I mentioned it here before, so we had the impact group. That was Mrs. Green's suggestion too. I'm glad she comes here so I can reference all that she does. But yeah, that was her suggestion, and they made a nice little piece of currency that's specific to Waterloo for us. So Mrs. Kuntz and Mrs. Molahan got those all printed out, cut up, and we're going to start using that as our little currency throughout the elementary.
Good.
So, any questions?
I have to ask, I'm almost afraid to. What is a sensory room?
The sensory room is for students who have, sometimes autistic students who have, you know, it calms them down, like certain sensations, like touching something or light. She put a string of lights with like a hula hoop, and it kind of looks wild in there, but for those students, it's a calming effect.
Mm-hmm.
So they can go in there, whether it's touching or seeing.
They have beanbags, chairs, so a lot of times students with sensory needs need to feel like they're almost being hugged. There's weighted things in there, so they can literally lay or wrap something around them that's weighted.
Yeah, like they
There are
have
all
weight
kinds of
vests.
those squishy balls, there's sand, there's just all kinds of sensory driven objects in there to help calm the student.
And it says a lot about Mrs. Ryan and what she's done in a short amount of time, because, you know, that was something that Portage County said we needed to have years ago, and it was lacking in what we could offer to those students. And she went in and saw what we were lacking in and went to Walmart and went to town and stayed here till well past dinner and made that room. It's getting a lot of traffic. So it's been great.
Does that work is that for K-12?
Yeah, any student.
Yeah.
And it's actually in a nice central location. It's down this, kind of by the art room.
Oh, okay.
In the wing right there.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's close to the units, and we actually have a couple students who are in regular ed 1st grade classrooms that use it as well.
Is the Viking block thing, is that like an extension of the Pride card?
It's a lot like that. It's, you know, the Pride card is something we really like because it gives us an opportunity to recognize the students at the board meeting. But for that instantaneous, in the classroom, reward with Viking Buck is really nice. And I should mention too, the PTO has already brought in like little Waterloo book bags and bracelets, and those are gonna be the prizes.
That they can spend their.
Yeah.
So they spent, oh, okay.
So we're going to do a variety of things like pizza parties for classrooms. We're really going to ramp up the rewards for positive behavior.
lunch.
So that's like if they're,
No outside.
Apple party.
Apple parties.
Celery stick jamboree. Anything else?
Okay. Thank you. It's exciting to see what you guys are doing and the extra effort that you bring to the staff, and obviously the teachers take a lot of time to personalize their rooms and to focus on our kids and to make sure they have a environment that is challenging yet productive and unique to that individual child. And that just doesn't happen unless you have good people. And preparation and leadership and recognition is such a huge part of education, and we just want to say thank you to all of you guys, and please extend that to your teaching staff.
Is there any way we can get a list of all the staff in each building?
Sure.
With all the changes?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
you just ran through that and I'm like,
with them.
Give you the phone extension list, but everyone's listed there.
well, but are they listed by building? So like even the cafeteria, the custodians, all of that, so we know
That staff
who's
is not
where?
on the phone list. Yeah.
I mean, that's good too.
You want everybody?
Well, in my mind, I don't know. I like that.
You
but
do. Just say it, it's okay.
I'm only here 3 more months. I'll be gone soon
They're
enough.
going to
You
be
have to
big 3
done.
months
I'm
then.
not sure we want you to have the phone numbers after you're gone.
I didn't want their phone numbers. I just want to know what building they were in.
It won't work out.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in my mind, it's just nice to know who's where and what they're doing, and if they come up and say something about, oh yeah, in the building, and they don't reference what building, I know which one they're talking about, or I can at least go back and look at the list and know what they're talking about, so, it's just, and we have so many changes and new people, it's kind of nice to know that, to who's where, because I know we had a lot of movement within the buildings too, so, to know where they're at, so.
It's kind of funny you say that, because I told Sean earlier today, I had I ran into a parent out and about, and they told me they met, that their kid, their child, met the new elementary school principal, Mr. Walker. I'm like, hold on, I know I can mess up something.
A lot of things already.
But I'm sorry, I didn't
He was probably checking the elementary doors. Are they all alarmed or just mine?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, for me, it's just nice to, not that you want to correct them, but at the same time, if they think their child's principal is one thing and it's a different thing, it's good for them to know. Especially if they got, they want to yell at someone. Anthony says, go ahead and say it's Mr. Walker, right?
Okay. Maplewood?
I have 2 months worth of paperwork, and actually, not a lot going on. We don't have all the interesting fun things during the summer months that we usually do through the school year, the featured programs and everything, but the last time I was there, it was a crazy house because it was our open house, and there was like thousands of people everywhere. So they wanted to keep the meeting short and sweet, and that's it, so we could go out to our cars, find them, because they were doing all kinds of concreting around the building and everything too.
Geez.
So a lot going on for them to get ready for their school year too. So when we come back in October, I'm sure I'll have a lot more to share with everybody then.
All
So
right.
that's really about it.
Thank you. Legislative update?
I don't have much. I'm about a month behind since I wasn't here last month. We all know the House Bill 64 was signed into law, and the key component was eliminating the park testing. I did do a lot of research, but Mr. Streeter hit on the criteria of the testing and what the schools themselves can do as a district. So I won't touch on that. And then Barb hit the 4-hour mandated that they need to go through, because we talked about that a couple months ago.
For the subs.
Yeah. Well, actually,
For everybody, yeah.
For everybody.
Right.
That's all I got.
All right.
Do you have a good feel, Todd, for, do we have any projections of how the budget's going to affect that?
I completed the 5-year forecast for next month, and we're voting on getting permanent appropriations tonight, which is the legal funding authority, given to me by the board, and the general fund appropriations correspond with the forecast, and I'll be sharing that with you via email probably in the coming weeks leading up to the October board meeting for the approval of that forecast.
Or we look like we're going to be,
Well, when we passed the levy in 2013, we told the voters that we would get through fiscal year 17, and we're still currently holding true to that. So we're projected to be in the black through fiscal year 17.
okay, so we didn't get any big, no big cuts?
No. Well, no cuts and no gains, so we'll pretty much stay consistent as far as state funding goes.
Okay.
On the revenue side, things stay pretty consistent.
Okay. New business?
The only thing I have is I just wanted to thank everybody for working in the booth. It was a crazy week. It always is for me, but
It's a crazy
it was fun,
environment.
wasn't it?
I
It
had
was fun. We did good.
Had a few bike burgers.
Yes.
Big bike.
Big
With the bell.
Ring the bell.
Ring the
Good
bell.
for you.
We had some of that. It was really cold today that we worked, so thanks for that.
Sold a lot of hot tea, or hot chocolate.
Coffee and hot chocolate, and many people were surprised that Mrs. Sandell did not have heels on.
Oh, if I'd have known, we went and looked.
She was a great sous chef in the back, and we had, everyone was moving around, and it was good. It was a good day, and we got to meet several people. They came by, and it's just such a great representation of our community because the people they're all in a good mood that week. So that's always a good thing.
We had great weather this year. So
We did.
really,
It was
you know,
good.
it was
Friday night got a little
wonderful.
crazy,
I like
but
Friday night, though.
you
Yep.
guys pick it every year, so you can have it.
Friday night's fun.
Friday night
Yeah.
jumping.
Yeah,
It's
it's always
jumping.
hopping, so, but it was good. So I want to thank everyone because that's always nice to know that I got people in there that can, I
Well,
don't have
that's
to
no
worry about.
small task in coordinating us.
But it's good. I mean, whenever someone says, "I'll be there," and you know they will be, it's 100%. So I want to thank everybody for that. And also, the comments that I got about Friday night with the balloon liftoff and the dedication,
We had an awesome turnout.
it was wonderful. I wasn't able to be there, but they said it was just everybody. The comments were fantastic, and
I thought our
that's the way it
stadiums
usually
were
works.
Very full for the first time in a long time. Our stadium was
Yeah.
very full.
Yeah, it's just, and everybody's been working hard on trying to get all that together, and it turned out really nice. So I wanted to say I've heard several comments about that, so I think that was good. So
I only have one thing, and I shared it with Mr. Bremen earlier. The Atwater Fire Department did a grant for the school for escape ladders. Apparently, we only have like 2, I guess, that are accessible where they need to be. So they did a grant, and they're getting 8 of them, and they're giving them to the school, and then the school has to do the means of installing, which it's not nothing. It's not like they need big installers to come do it. It's something I think our staff.
escape ladders.
The escape, I guess they came last Friday, and they were here we were here in the evening, so it was in the evening when they were here. And they were doing whatever walkthrough and counted the ladders and went through all the areas and got a grant, and however their grant works, they just can't be a part of the installation of the ladder. They got the grant, but they can't do so.
They usually do those inspections after school?
After school begins.
Just after school, after the school day?
I don't know how they do it here, I guess.
Oh, I know that I've been
No,
through
they're here all day during the.
dozens.
I was gonna say they were here.
Oh, okay.
I shouldn't say, because it was when I was feeding the high school, so it had to be right when she was leaving is when
It's
she
always during the day.
got me.
Yeah, they walk around with us, so.
So it was during the day, I should correct that.
They can
during
be
the day.
tricky.
I just happen to be here.
They can be tricky. I had a fireman actually pull a student
Hey now,
out
I'm
of
on
the
the fire
line
department.
and just waited to see if the teacher could do a head count. And that teacher comes zooming back across the yard, and he was like, good job, And that just goes to show that, the practice, and we've already started that, initiated those, to where they get, everybody they just know what to do. And it's a critical part of what we do. So we always appreciate our fire department, our community resources, the police, the sheriff, what help they can give us to help make the school day safer, better, and more prepared. So, okay, move on to the consent agenda. Sean?
Okay, we have a lot of things here. I just want to point a couple out on letter O. You can go to that page. Just recommend that we engage Day Cater Limited to provide legal services for the year starting July 1st to June 30th, 2016. It's a relationship we've had for the last, a long time now, and it's worked out pretty well. As far as cost savings, the district, it's been a tremendous amount. We have a very good relationship with them, and I'd like to continue that. The next thing on letter P, to recommend to approve entering into an equipment placement agreement by between us and Coca-Cola Refreshments. Coke has invaded our school district, and I hear it's a good thing, just talking to people around. But what we have here is an agreement to use their equipment. If we want to actually enter into a contract, just talking with their reps, it can be anywhere from a year, it can be up to 5 years. That's really us to determine. So, we'll take a look at that. I think so far it's gone pretty well, right? So far it's gone pretty well, I would say. So.
Are they trying to figure out how to put it on Facebook? I can't word it right, that we have code.
That we are using Diet Coke. It seems to be a fan favorite out there, so it's going well. But we will move forward and get into a contractual situation with them pretty quickly. The last thing I wanted to point out, letter Q, recommending that that we adopt the following resolution to not provide career technical education in grades 7 and 8 for the 2015-16 school year. This is an initiative that Governor Kasich was big on schools having this. Ohio Revised Code allows schools to opt out of that, but we just have to make that public announcement.
Is this the last year we can opt out?
I think it is. I'm not sure if it's going to continue or not, but we don't have programming for that right now, so it doesn't suit our needs. So we do have to make that public notice. And that's it. The rest is pretty standard stuff.
All right. Did we do the motion on that? Okay. No, we go on treasures. Okay, treasures business.
Can I ask a question before we jump off that one? I apparently don't have I downloaded it right before I came here, but it didn't have the update. Did we fix up the percentage of the supplemental under item E?
We did. We corrected all that, yeah.
Thank
you for pointing it out.
Okay, I just don't know why I don't have it. But anyhow, it's good.
I don't know either. I'll have to.
Diana, must be something I didn't do something correct.
Okay, but it has been, to answer that, yes, it has been corrected.
Thank you.
You went by the right tower. It'll catch up with you about 11 o'clock tonight. Okay. Treasurer's business?
I have nothing.
Nothing?
What's there, unless you have any questions or anything?
All right. And now we do a motion for the, okay. Can I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Second.
Second. Roll call?
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Whittlesey?
Yes.
Fletcher?
Yes.
Gump?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Motion passes. And that's it. Can I have a motion to recess into executive session to discuss employment and compensation?
So moved.
I'll second it.
And there won't be any decisions coming out of executive session, so. Everyone, especially Rick, we thank you for coming. It's always good to see you, buddy.
Especially Rick, they have to be here all day and then they have to stay, especially.
Yeah,
Not always.
we'll try to shake it up for you next week, or next month, yeah.
Please.